Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting for September the 2nd, 2025. We acknowledge this meeting is being held in the traditional territories of our friends, neighbors, and Treaty 8 partners of the Fort Nelson First Nation, as well as the Prophet River First Nation. We recognize the rights inherent in our treaty, and we recognize and celebrate the contributions and enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that this afternoon's meeting is available to the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Are there any additions to this meeting, council, staff? Okay. Everybody's okay with the agenda the way it is? Okay, that brings us to 5.1, which is delegation from McElhanney. Colton's back to talk to us about the Complete Communities final report. So I'll turn it over to staff or Colton for the discussion. Colton, please.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just
Welcome.
get my, thank you. I'll get my screen sharing going. And are you seeing the introduction slide?
Yes.
Okay, I just have to make you all bigger again. There we go. Great. So yeah, good evening. My name is Colton Kirsop. I'm a registered professional planner at McElhanney. And just want to make sure my camera went off. Hang on. So many different buttons. There we go. So yeah, tonight I'll just present the final report on Complete Communities Needs Assessment for Forts and Nelsons, the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality.
You're tongue-tied a little bit today.
A little bit. I'll get better.
Yeah,
so anyhow, moving along, just to recap the project, in late 2023, NRM launched this study with funding from UBCM. So Complete Communities is a broad concept and it can be defined in several ways. For the purposes of this study, we're looking at a complete community being one that provides a diversity of housing to meet community needs, to accommodate people at all stages of life, and provide a wide range of employment opportunities and amenities and services within a 15-minute travel time. This definition is intended to operate as an overall goal, recognizing that complete communities may look different depending on the uniqueness of each community in the study. Since this work is aspirational, all communities have the potential to be more complete, regardless of their existing context and physical characteristics. So the diagram on screen is from the BC Complete Communities Guide, and the process includes 3 phases. The first phase is prepare, the second phase is assess, and the third phase is act. Throughout the presentation, I'll keep this circular process diagram on the top right-hand corner of the slides just to indicate which phase of the project I'm speaking to. Within the 3 phases, there are 4 key areas of study. The guide calls them lenses. These lenses include housing, transportation, daily needs, and infrastructure. So these are some common terms that you'll see throughout the report and this presentation. Strategy gives NRRM an opportunity to assess current conditions, gather community input, and identify common goals related to housing, daily needs, or transportation and infrastructure priorities. Some of the insights from multiple spatial analysis and public consultation were synthesized into a comprehensive final report and the implementation plan that equips the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality with the necessary steps to advance projects and improve community completeness in Fort Nelson. So yeah, as I mentioned, there's the 4 lenses: housing, transportation, daily needs, and infrastructure. So when we get into looking at phase 1 of the project, the team prepared an in-depth assessment of the status of community completeness, including maps to show the variety of housing types, the location of paths and sidewalks, the proximity to daily needs such as shops and local services. The results of the maps then informed our engagement questions to the public and interested parties. We held public engagement alongside your staff. They supported a lot of it, and it was quite well attended, to further identify community priorities in each of those 4 lenses of the study, be it housing, transportation, daily needs, or infrastructure. Following the public engagement, we identified opportunities and actions to align with the goals expressed by community members. Here's some images from some of our public engagement events. Preliminary engagement occurred at the Northern Rockies Arts Council Street Festival in September 2024, and there was more public engagement that took place in February of 2025. This was intended to identify community priorities through this engagement in each lens of the study. Again, housing, transportation, daily needs, or infrastructure. And the methodology followed that of the provincial guide on complete community assessments. We also used this engagement to inform the draft OCP. So approximately 236 residents engaged in the project with 101 survey responses gathered. We completed 25 hours directly engaging the community in key informant interviews, panel discussions, and the pop-up engagement events in the community. Big themes voiced by participants during the engagement included the desire for more diversity of housing options, particularly supportive housing for seniors and residents with accessibility needs. We also heard about enhancing hospital capabilities, increasing access to personal support workers, including for mental and physical health, seniors and in-home care. We also heard about expanding post-secondary programs to retain and attract young professionals and educators. And also, very important, we heard about improvements to travel options, both regionally and locally, including a scheduled bus service, as well as taxi or rideshare options. A desire for improved access to outdoor community hubs and social space was also heard, and more diverse retail, food, and beverage options. In the second phase of the project was to assess the data and identify what actions could be made to move the needle on making Fort Nelson a more complete community, which is not to say it's not a complete community. We did find some really great analysis, but as I mentioned, this is aspirational work for any community that undertakes this kind of study. This was done through a blend of technical analysis, community engagement, and discussions with NRM staff and other interest holders. We tested different locations for actions and provided options on site locations and recommended locations that scored highest in terms of level of completeness. 9 measurement areas were identified to help us, measure data in different pockets of the region to identify where the best access to housing, daily needs, transportation, and infrastructure were located. The results indicated that areas north of the Alaska Highway in Fort Nelson in areas A and B, I'll just highlight those on screen here. Find laser pointer. So your west sub and your east sub scored very high and were certainly the most complete measurement areas in the study. There's definitely a concentration of services in the town core. This is a big strength that was recognized and that can continue to be played to. The findings guided the project team to prioritize actions that promote a more balanced and equitable distribution of services across Fort Nelson to enhance livability for residents. Now I have to get rid of those. Don't know how to do that. To recap our spatial analysis, we mapped locations for each action, and then we tested if the actions made a measurable impact on completeness. Our location options and recommendations were made on the basis of achieving a statistically better score on completeness, and there's some maps on that in the coming slides. Actions tested were selected for being either achievable within the ability of the municipality to enact or making a major improvement to the quality of life. These actions are big, so they require collaboration and support from other orders of government. All actions that are mentioned in this report scored high in terms of their importance to the public and participants in the engagement process. When it comes to being achievable, we noted that the seniors housing and transit projects will certainly require collaboration with other orders of government, and our longer term projects, while some of the shorter term and more actionable projects like the pop-up marketplace and the outdoor dog park are more closely tied to the municipality's ability to deliver on a shorter timeline. The actions and suggestions about how to move the needle on completeness and can inform future planning, grant applications, and feasibility studies or advocacy. So in terms of our spatial analysis, what you're seeing on screen here in the red is how complete a particular area is in terms of how close a range of services are to your population within 400 meters. So it's probably not surprising that the two commercial areas just off of Airport Drive and then the commercial area just to the east of the rec center, including where you're sitting tonight, scored very high on the completeness continuum. And then these are shown in the darkest red. And then I guess we'd call it transitioning to slightly lower scores as you move out and you move away from those commercial cores and those service areas. So a new dog park is a way to create a low-cost, high-impact gathering space that encourages social interaction among residents and promotes active lifestyles for people and pets. Based on the technical analysis, our recommendation is to locate it over here because it will actually bring up the completeness score of the east sub and this gateway area of the town site. There's also a number of existing amenities there that would make this a fairly low barrier proposition to the municipality should they wish to enact it. There's already seating, waste receptacles, parking, and proximity to the community trail. The site offers also high visibility to visitors entering the town site. It's easy access from the hotels, which certainly could support travelers stopping and visiting Fort Nelson. In terms of our spatial analysis on a pop-up marketplace, we note that it can stimulate local economic development by supporting resident vendors, promoting small businesses, and welcoming local and out-of-town vendors. A concept like this could certainly help strengthen the circular economy and attract visitors to the community. Over time, these spaces can contribute to sustained business growth and increased foot traffic in the downtown and a stronger downtown core. Temporary activations can also be useful for testing ideas for long-term inclusion in your downtown revitalization initiatives before making those bigger long-term investments in permanent features. Of the considered sites, option 3, shown here, along Simpson Trail and 51st Avenue was selected as a potential location because it's centrally located, it supports that continued downtown revitalization initiative, and increases the proximity to daily needs score for the area. And again, the public realm improvements, which are intended to be temporary and mobile, are something that residents can access quite easily. Location is in proximity to areas that were identified in your downtown revitalization plan as open space opportunities or public realm enhancements. So we're suggesting this is maybe an easy way to get started with some of those downtown revitalization initiatives. And I think that the use of this parking lot, certainly we recognize that it serves an important purpose for the rec center. So the intent is only to activate it at times when it's suitable, when the whole parking lot isn't needed for events at the rec center. So of course, scheduling needs to be taken into consideration. In terms of expanded seniors housing, to determine the best location for additional seniors housing, we started by looking at municipal owned land that could be provided for seniors housing. This is a practice that can be used to attract funding from other sources and other orders of government. The NRM owns parcels of land near the existing seniors housing, Heritage Place. The site has the advantage of being located, either of these sites, on flat land, and it's in an area with one of the highest proximity to daily need scores in Fort Nelson. This makes it an ideal place for additional seniors housing. It's in walking distance to a grocery store, medical clinic, the post office, shops and services and restaurants and banks. So the accessibility supports aging residents to maintain independence and social engagement while accessing healthcare and other services. These factors make it a strong candidate for future housing development or seniors housing expansion. should the municipality wish to make use of that land for future seniors housing, or use this study to just inform grant applications or advocacy. This technical analysis that we've completed can help backstop those efforts. And then establishing scheduled bus routes in Fort Nelson helps meet the basic transportation needs expressed by residents during engagement. The recommended public transit route includes bus stops throughout residential neighborhoods on the west and east side of town, and it has stops along Alaska Highway throughout the downtown and stops in Musco Heights and the Fort Nelson First Nation. This route responds directly to the feedback received during public engagement. And as you can see, the different colors here correspond to how close the service would be to residents within 400 meters of a bus stop. So the entire east and west stub would score a very good score, between 60 and 80% of residents being located close to transit. The industrial area south of the highway scores 20 to 40% in terms of the fact that there would be still walking distance access from the Alaska Highway. And then Musco Heights and the subdivision to the south score in the 20% range, mainly because the stops are located in the Fort Nelson First Nation or at the gateway to the First Nation. So these are quite significant moves of the needle, so to speak. It's also a big project, and so we know that this is longer term and requires support from other orders of government. And again, if the municipality wishes to take steps to advance any further transit planning or grant applications to support those feasibilities or technical studies, the findings from this report can backstop those efforts and give you a leg up and a head start on any of that feasibility study or grant applications. And those are all detailed in the memo that we provided in an appendix to the report. So the third and final phase of the project is to act by preparing a final report with a high-level implementation plan to inform and assist with decision-making, future planning studies, grant applications, and advocacy. So we built a customized implementation plan to include two different implementation tables. One is related to our spatial analysis of the specific actions identified, such as the dog park, pop-up marketplace, the additional seniors housing, and the transit route. And the other is based on engagement priorities that were gathered in the public engagement process and the council engagement process. So let's take a look at the implementation tables. The first one is the one based on our spatial analysis. So under the lens of housing, our recommended action is to expand available independent and supportive seniors housing. We know this is not directly under the control of the municipality, but this recommendation is informed by what we heard in the community and demographic analysis that was completed in the housing needs report, which found your seniors population will grow by 218%. So implementation actions within the control of the municipality are policy direction on future land use, the disposition of municipal land, your advocacy, and your collaboration with other orders of government. This project aligns to the council priorities of social and community well-being and service sustainability. Under the daily needs lens and the infrastructure lens, our recommended actions were to build the off-leash dog park. Taking this action is in the control of the municipality, and the recommendation is informed by what we heard in the community and through our spatial analysis. The implementation actions within the control of the municipality are confirming the site, completing a site plan for the fencing and any other facilities that are desired, and tendering the construction and long-term operations and maintenance of the site. The project aligns to council priorities of social and community well-being and the downtown revitalization plan and its guiding principles. Under the lens of daily needs and infrastructure, our other action was the pop-up marketplace. And taking this action is again something that could be in control or influence of Northern Rockies municipality, depending on which partners might want to be involved in managing and administering this in partnership with you. And through our spatial analysis of the location, we identified that it will help increase completeness in terms of access to services, retail, food and beverage sales, and just overall downtown activation. So the actions within the control of the municipality are confirming the site, completing a site plan for attractive fencing, picnic tables, string lights, power and water connections, and the tendering and construction of the various features of the site, and then the long-term operations and maintenance. And the project aligns to council priorities for a thriving economy, social and community well-being, and the downtown revitalization plan. Under the lens of transportation, our recommended action was to advance further planning and feasibility of the scheduled bus service. Taking this near-term action is in control of the municipality, if you're successful in getting grants to undertake these feasibility studies. And this recommendation is informed by what we heard in the community and through our spatial analysis. Capital and operating plans to implement transit require contributions from other orders of government. So our memo on transit service implementation identified several sources of grant funding for further planning and feasibility studies. And the actions that are within the control of the municipality in the near term are deciding whether or not to advance any additional planning or feasibility studies through those grant applications. The project aligns to council priorities for the thriving economy, social and community well-being, and the downtown revitalization plan. Then we take a look at the other engagement table, which is based on the engagement priorities we heard in the community and from council engagement. So when we take a look at this, these are types of priorities that are more service-based rather than location-based. So they aren't effectively mapped through geospatial modeling, but these needs also fall under the jurisdiction of other orders of government. So it became clear that NRM often addresses community needs beyond its mandate as a municipality. And given these circumstances, this table provides a roadmap for how you might want to advance advocacy with other orders of government. Under the lens of housing, the public engagement priority was to invest in housing that included seniors, supportive housing, and this recommendation is informed by what we heard in the community. It's informed by the housing needs assessment, demographic analysis, and again, it found that the seniors population is anticipated to grow substantially. Implementation actions within the control of the municipality are really geared around collaboration and advocacy. Under the lens of housing, the public engagement priority is also the development of smaller affordable housing options to accommodate residents of all incomes and housing sizes or household sizes. Again, this is not directly in the control of the municipality, but the recommendation is informed by what we heard in your community and the demographic analysis of the housing needs report. There are also some shortfalls according to the housing needs report, supportive and shelter housing. And again, those things fall largely outside of the mandate of the municipality. So implementation actions that are noted are collaboration and advocacy with other orders of government and their agencies. Under the lens of daily needs, the public engagement priority is the investment in mental and physical healthcare services, medical equipment, and staff. And so the implementation actions here are just to continue to recognize the work you do around partnerships, collaboration, and advocacy. And under the daily needs lens, the public engagement priority is investment in expansion of post-secondary education services, including college and trade school programs. And again, this is informed by what we heard in the community and the implementation actions that the municipality can advance are dialogue around partnerships, collaboration, and advocacy. Under the transportation needs lens, the public engagement priority is the expansion of regional transportation services and local taxi or rideshare hailing services. So this, again, is a recommendation about what we heard in the community, and the implementation actions within the control of the municipality are in the realm of business licenses and the street and traffic rules for taxi fleets and ride hailing services, through an update to the traffic control bylaw, as well as partnerships and collaboration and advocacy to other orders of government to increase the service frequency of those regional bus services. So then in terms of our outcomes, we collaborated with your staff and with your community to prepare this report. And the report summarizes all 3 phases of the project, the public and council engagement and the feedback that we received. It also contains the recommended actions based on the spatial analysis and informed by a public and council consultation. And it provides an implementation plan to guide future planning and advocacy. There's also the additional memo on steps for implementing transit service through those further feasibility planning and studies. And the project is also has informed policies in the draft OCP. The UBCM Complete Communities Program presents a valuable opportunity to evaluate your current housing, daily needs, transportation, and infrastructure conditions. And through our analysis, Fort Nelson was found to have many strong key strengths, including robust municipal infrastructure, outdoor park amenities and recreation opportunities, being backed by a dedicated administration and council with a willingness to exceed the typical responsibilities of a municipality. The recommended actions are grounded both in quantitative data and qualitative community insights. And it represents an important step forward to improving the quality of life for residents and building long-term community resilience to ensure Fort Nelson remains a vibrant and supportive place to live. So with that, my presentation is over and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Colton. Appreciate that presentation. I'm feeling comfortable that that report is complete, but certainly I'm looking to council to see if they have any questions. I know that you added in some pieces that we were looking for with respect to the What We Heard report in the daily needs portion of the report. So yeah, thank you for that. And I'm not sure if your implementation, the second table, that might have been added as well, with respect to some of the advocacy that we might be able to do. I know that the other one, the spatial analysis, was there, but I don't recall seeing the secondary one there. So that I appreciate that addition to the report as well. So thank you very much from my perspective. Does council have any questions or comments? Councillor Gerwing, please.
Yeah, no, I think thanks, Colton and Hillary. Everything that I remember that we brought up at our previous meeting has been addressed in the report. So I'm good.
So anybody else? I'm not seeing any other hands. So, I think, obviously there's the next steps that you've identified to get this into the hands of the government. And for us, I'd like to see how it impacts the OCP discussions that we'll be having moving forward. And I guess from there, we'll have to decide, what types of implementation we might want to see in the short term and the long term. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the next order of business, which is the report from staff. Hillary, did you want to make any comments on the report there? It kind of sums it all up, eh?
Yeah, thanks very much. Just
Yeah.
was here to present the final report and invite any feedback if there was any. Thank you.
Okay, so any questions for Hillary? Seeing none, thanks for the work that you guys have put in on this. Appreciate it. I think there's some good stuff there that, we've got a year left on this council, but maybe other councils might be able to implement some of this as well. It will be interesting how they dovetail to the OCP. Thanks. Okay, item 6.2 is official community plan update, the legal review for discussion. Who would like to take that? Lisa, welcome.
Good afternoon, I guess, Mayor and councillors. So before you is just a brief report outlining where we're at with the draft official community plan. It's been a while since we've had any information come back to council, so I felt it would be prudent to do so, given that we have had some further engagement, as you heard from Colton. During February, March of this year, we undertook a second round of engagement in conjunction with the Complete Community Needs Strategy. And then based on that, we did a few updates to the draft OCP. We've had some meetings with the Public Advisory Committee, our last meeting being in May of 2025. And then the draft OCP was sent out for legal review. So the intent of legal review is to look at anything that might be in contradiction of the Local Government Act or the requirements of the Local Government Act, as well as ensuring that there's nothing in the OCP that would overstep the authority of an OCP, as well as fetter council's decisions moving forward. So that review has been completed. Based on that, there were a few main themes that came out of that legal review around mandatory content, some language around the land use policies, as well as development permit areas. So although the changes aren't significant in nature, they will create a lot of changes to the wording of in the OCP, the draft OCP. So the report tonight is really just to gain some perspective from council and seek your feedback around next steps as far as engagement with council, how council would like to be engaged as far as the proposed changes, as well as some consideration of how to incorporate feedback from the Public Advisory Committee.
Okay, thank you. Council have any questions?
Being that I was on the Public Advisory Committee, I think it would be important for that committee to have a presentation as to what the wording changes look like. Like you said, that although they're not significant in the theme, the overall themes, it would be significant in the words that are being used. And being that we all reviewed the final draft, I think it would be important that the Public Advisory Committee have another opportunity to do that.
Perfect, thank you.
So I would echo that. If I don't think it needs to go to the public yet, if there's no material change. If it's just a lot of legal words, then, you know, I don't know how closely you guys looked at sort of wordsmithing it and whether that makes it, yeah, so you wordsmith the heck out of it. Yeah, so if the committee did a lot of wordsmithing, then I think the words would be important to them. Yeah, I don't know that we need to go to a broad public review if there's no material change to it. That's my thought.
Unless the Public Advisory Committee maybe advises that, right? I would be interested in what their perspective would be,
Yeah,
assuming we can get them together again.
because they might see something material that that staff or yeah, that makes sense.
Highlight it.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, Lisa, thank you very much. I think you've got some marching orders. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I certainly do.
okay, great. Thank you very much. And start the. Okay, that takes us through. There's no new business. Is there anybody who has any questions online? Nobody in the room? No, seeing none. Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you very much.